My god, it's that time of the month again. Yo, what's good, everybody? How y'all doing?
Doing good, thanks for asking.
I'm chilling.
Glad to hear that from you too. Now, as y'all know, we're here for our monthly meeting, and just to start off with a simple question, what are numbers looking like?
Well, our stats say that the Scarlet and Violet DLC is doing good. We're getting thousands of players buying and playing it. But not only that, Scarlet and Violet is almost the best-selling Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch, only being outdone by Sword and Shield.
Very good, very good. As for the Pokemon Presents that happened last month, anyone got any updates?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, sir. Our stats are saying that no one really gives a flying flip about the stuff we talked about in the presents.
So you're saying that people didn't enjoy anything?
Yeah, aside from the DLC, of course.
Detective Pikachu, Pokemon Unite, Cafe Remix, Masters EX, and even Pokemon Sleep?
It's hard to believe, but yeah.
Fantastic, boys. This calls for a celebration, man.
Sir, this is nothing to celebrate about. The only thing people care about is the Scarlet and Violet DLC, and even with all the pre-orders we're getting, we're still getting complaints about the game, and on top of that, people were hoping we'd also announce the classic Pokemon games on Nintendo Switch Online.
Are you out of your mind? You think we care about what people want? The only thing we care about here is money.
So you want to go into money now? Well, we might as well get to the topic of our game's quality and production.
What about them? A major problem that Game Freak faces is that they prefer quantity over quality, and this can be proven by their release dates: Sword and Shield late 2019, BDSP late 2021, Legends Arceus start of 2022, and in the same year Legends Arceus came out, we get Scarlet and Violet late 2022. Now you can argue that the 3DS games did the same, but the difference is that those games hold up for their system and they were consistent in quality, while the games on the Switch don't hold up in the slightest, and it's just really disappointing. When you have games like Tears of the Kingdom, Odyssey, and Luigi's Mansion 3 on the same system with this garbage, it really does speak volumes. Now you may be wondering what the solution to this problem is, and it's quite simple actually. Pokemon needs a break. No, seriously, it does. If we compare Pokemon to the three franchises I previously mentioned, which are Zelda, Mario, and Luigi's Mansion, one thing those three games have in common is that they all took their time. Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom took 6 years, 3D World to Odyssey took 4 years, and Dark Moon to 3 also took 6 years, and all three games came out wonderfully. The thing is, Pokemon used to follow this formula too. If we look back at their history up until Gen 7, Pokemon dropped games every 2 to 3 years, and this is excluding remakes. Now if you compare those 2 to 3 years to the 4 to 6 years that other Nintendo IPs took to work on a game, it might not sound like a lot, but to put it visually, imagine being a Pokemon fan and telling a Zelda fan that after beating Legends Arceus, you waited a measly 9 months for Scarlet and Violet to drop, compared to that the 6 years that Zelda fans waited for Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, sounds like a blessing waiting such a short time, does it? Well, the truth is, it isn't, because both of these games came out looking like garbage, but these two games did something that the Pokemon franchise has never done before, which was giving the players freedom. But we'll talk about that later in the video. In a nutshell, I want Game Freak to take a break from the mainline franchise. Whether it's only 3 years, 6 years, fuck it. Make it 9 years. Okay, maybe not that long. My point is that I want Game Freak to take as long as they need to make a masterpiece of a game, because it's clear as day that they have rushed their most recent games, which has led to the very underwhelming quality of it. I want them to bring back that charm I felt playing Pokemon in my childhood, and who knows, maybe in the meantime they're cooking up a good mainline game they can focus on and they're working on their spin-offs, such as the Mystery Dungeon games, Rumble games, and maybe finally making the long-awaited Pokemon Quest update available everywhere. Alright, maybe not that last one, but you guys get what I mean.
And that's why I suggest we should take time with our games.
Are you out of your damn mind? Are you suggesting we stop with the yearly drops?
Yeah, for real, man. How the hell are we gonna make money if we ain't dropping no games?
You guys can't be this dense. All I'm saying is that we took a bit more time to make our games that are more polished from the get-go, we'd be making bank.
And the only thing we should have done from the get-go is not hiring your dumb ass, man. I'm about to write you up.
Bro.
Anyways, anything else y'all got to say? Kyle?
Nah, we good.
Excellent. Now, Anton, is there anything else you want to say before your ass gets reported?
For what?
You know damn well what, man. Now you got shit to say or what?
Well, I do have an idea in mind.
And what the hell could it be?
I was thinking that the recent Pokemon games could improve on the narrative and characters.
After all, Pokemon is an RPG, and for a game that's genre is known for good stories, Pokemon doesn't do a good job. Now, I understand the reason for the simplicity of the stories in these games. It's because they are targeted at a much younger demographic, but for people who've grown with the franchise such as myself, it's like having a very bland story. I really do think that Pokemon could benefit from having a better story, and an example of this is from the Gen 5 games. Generation 5 has arguably the best story in a Pokemon game, and to explain, let me quickly summarize the plot of Black and White. First of all, Black and White and their sequels offer a very different plot compared to the regular Pokemon games. In this game, the villains being Team Plasma don't seek for world domination or the abuse of Pokemon. In fact, they believe in their liberation, and the way they were going to accomplish that was by manipulating the trainer to release their minds or by stealing them. Throughout the game, you meet up with a character named N and eventually become friends, but it later gets revealed that N is the king of Team Plasma and plays a huge role in their plan of liberating Pokemon. However, after the events in the endgame of Black and White, in their sequels, you get to see the rift that was developed in Team Plasma throughout the first game, which caused them to split into two groups in the sequels. One group follows the leader of the team, Getsis, and believes in his plan to rule the world. The second group that stays loyal and follows Lord N seeks atonement for their sins, and they dedicate themselves to protecting weakened Pokemon that were separated from their trainers. Now, this was a very brief summary of the plot into the Gen 5 games, since I don't want to turn this entire video talking about that, even though I could. My point is that the Gen 5 game, still being a traditional Pokemon game for a young audience, has a pretty engaging and interesting plot that isn't too hard for young players to understand, and it keeps the older players engaged. Something else that Gen 5 does well is that a lot of the characters feel included. Obvious characters such as our friends, rivals, and even the gym leaders playing an important role in the endgame of Black and White. With its memorable characters and engaging plot, Black and White makes an amazing Pokemon game story-wise. So with that all being said about Gen 5, this does raise a question. How can Pokemon improve their story? I really do think they should take some notes or look back at some notes from when they were cooking up Gen 5's story. Like I said earlier, the story in Gen 5 is not too hard to understand for young players, but it's engaging enough to keep the old players invested. I also think that the rivals, villains, and just the characters as a whole have to be improved because lately, in my opinion, they just haven't really been that interesting. Aside from the characters and the plot, I think voice acting in the next game could really help. It doesn't have to be every single NPC, but having generic phrases like hey, or when you talk to a random NPC would just be great to see, similar to like Breath of the Wild. Having fully voiced cutscenes and introductions to important characters with a voice would be awesome to see, and it can be a huge game changer for the series, especially with how the characters express themselves with their emotions. In summary, I understand that Pokemon is considered a baby RPG, but if Game Freak could make a banger story with the addition of voice acting, it could really change the atmosphere of the games.
And yeah, that's about it. What do you guys think?
It's on. What are you trying to accomplish?
I'm trying to save our company.
I think the only thing you should try to be saving is your ass from getting fired. Now, I don't know if this is some kind of joke to you, or if April Fools came late for you, cause I'm really trying to connect the dots together, and none of this shit is lining up, man!
Bro, what do you mean?
What do you mean, what do you mean? If I wasn't clear enough, I'm saying your idea is some straight ass, straight down the doodoo type shit, man! Now, and so I got a question for you. Do you know who's writing our games?
Yeah.
You clearly don't, because if you did, you wouldn't be saying any of this BS. So let me remind you on who's writing our games. Our games are written by the most talented, intelligent, incredible people we have found and produced on God's green earth. Shakespeare wishes he was on the team. Dr. Seuss wishes he was on our level. When Kanye writes a new song, he asks our team for help. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Say it louder!
Yes, King.
Pause.
Damn. Kyle, please tell me you have a smart idea to say.
I actually do, man.
What is it?
Should we continue the traditional linear games that we known for, or should we expand with more open world games?
I like the sound of this. Keep going. With Pokemon's latest entries both being open world, this does raise the question of whether they're going to continue the traditional linear games the franchise is known for, or will they continue using the open world formula. Well, the answer is, who knows? Well, I do think Pokemon is going to continue with more open world games due to the success of Scarlet and Violet. I don't think they're going to completely abandon making linear games due to the fact that they're probably much easier to make and they've mastered the recipe at this point. On the other hand, their open worlds are far from being labeled as a masterpiece and much work is needed. Even when excluding the obvious garbage graphics the games have, a big problem that they face is that they feel empty and lifeless. When you take a look at either Scarlet and Violet or Legends Arceus, it doesn't take a genius to notice how empty and lifeless these games look. In Legends Arceus, the areas are just the definition of being at the bottom of a barrel, and the entire map looks like the aftermath of a nuclear warhead. Although, I like to think that this game is more of a prototype for the series since, to be fair, it was the first open world game in the franchise and in my opinion, a step in the right direction. Scarlet and Violet on the other hand does not face that issue and yet it still manages to feel lifeless. The towns in this game are practically dead of content with virtually no NPCs to interact with, no side quests to complete, no trainers to battle, and almost every building in the game having no interior space aside from a couple of exceptions. When you compare these two games to their predecessors in the franchise, it's like night and day. The linear games are the complete opposite of what these games are, which is being full of life from having unique and memorable towns, interactable NPCs, side quests, and so much more. So what can Game Freak do? Yeah, they can continue making linear games which they've been doing for like, what, only 20 years now? But I think if they continue that any longer, it's going to lead to Pokemon's downfall. It's already slowly losing its charm after all. We've been playing the same linear formatted games for the past 2 decades, but Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet gave us a taste of the potential greatness Pokemon could have if they continue being open world. And yes, I know a minute ago I was going on about the many flaws of those 2 games, but they were still enjoyable, especially Scarlet and Violet. Giving us the freedom to explore the region however and whenever we want to challenge the gyms in any order is something that no other Pokemon game has done in the past. I think if Game Freak took the time to combine the freedom of the Gen 9 games and the amount of life that the linear games offered, I really do think they can make something special. So to answer the question of whether Game Freak should continue making linear or open world games, I think that making open world games is a step in the right direction, although they shouldn't let go of all that life that the linear games offer. However, like I said earlier, I don't think they'll ever stop working with the linear format of their games.
And yeah, that's all I've got.
Wow. Just wow. Now that's a good idea. You know, I never even considered that.
I appreciate it, boss.
Kyle, man, I'm at a loss of words, man. Anton, you should really learn from your peers. Please take some notes on this.
You know, I didn't think it was that good, but I'm glad you liked it.
Anyways, this gives me an idea for you guys.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
I want the both of you guys to write down an idea, something that we can improve upon in our games, and on a piece of paper. And whichever one I like more, I'll let you guys explain yourselves.
Okay. And what happens to the other idea that doesn't get picked?
Oh, well, I'll just not end up giving it, shit, and you'll get fired. So the stakes are high right now. Make sure to put on your thinking caps.
Hell no.
No
Okay.
pressure, though. Anyways, write your ideas down now. Alright, boys, show me your papers, but keep your eyes closed. Okay. Alright. Man, one of you guys are never gonna be allowed in here ever again. Kyle,
Yo.
explain yourself.
Bro, what the... Wait. Oh.
It's such a dumbass sound, man! The hell's wrong with you? Damn. Anyways, sorry about that, Kyle. Please, continue.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that we should do something about the difficulty in our games.
What's wrong with it, man? Pokemon's too easy now. I'm not saying that the Pokemon games were ever on the difficulty of something like Dark Souls, nor am I saying I want that type of difficulty, but back in the day, they did propose some sort of challenge, and the thing that changed it all is leveling up our Pokemon. Over the years, the games have been slowly been hand-holding and giving us a multitude of ways of grinding and leveling up our Mons. Items such as the Lucky Egg, being able to grind raids and get hella XP candies, and etc. But out of all of that, there is one item that has just made grinding way too easy. And it's XP share. Who would have seen that coming? For a little quick history lesson here, XP share was introduced back in Gen 2, and the way it worked back then is if whatever Pokemon was in the party holding the item but not out in battle, it would earn 50% of the XP that the Pokemon in the battle earns, while the other 50% goes to the one that battled. But if you use multiple Pokemon in the battle, the XP will be divided in half, but the holder of the XP share will still earn 50%. However, that all changes in Gen 6. XP share becomes a key item in the game, and the way it works in that game is that any Pokemon that participates in a battle will earn 100% of the XP, and the rest of the party still earns 50%, although you have the option to toggle on and off XP share in the Gen 6 games. But once Gen 7 came along, XP share was no longer a key item, but now a core element in the game, and it cannot be turned off. And it's still like that to this day, but that's not the only issue. Another thing to consider is that the XP curve you get from Pokemon. Thank you, Gen 5.
But look at you, I don't like spending hours mindlessly running around looking for chances.
Well, neither do I, but I never asked for my Pokemon to be over leveled by the second gym due to XP share and the XP curve. While I do think it's nice that Game Freak made grinding for levels much less tedious with the amount of resources that we have, I do think they need to be reworked, whether they allow us to toggle on and off XP share again, or if they just take a look at the XP curve we get from battles. And the problem with being over leveled is that it just makes battles so much easier, and that makes people like the champion of Paldea look like a complete joke. So what could they do to make the games more challenging? There's a variety of ways they could accomplish that, whether it's just reworking what we have now or adding difficulty options. By adding difficulty options, I think it would make the battles more interesting. Let's say if you decided to choose hard mode, then trainer battles could have higher level Pokemon, important items such as Life Orb, or even an actual good moveset. It's small changes like these that can completely change the difficulty of the series, and I think it would be nice to see more challenging Pokemon games, since for the majority of the games, I find myself just mindlessly spamming the same effective move and just being way too OP. Man, Kyle, you're a genius, bro. What are you, like Albert Einstein Jr. or something?
They did call me Einstein back in school.
I bet they did, man. But honestly, bro, I'm gonna have to write you up for a promotion or some shit, man. You're an actual genius.
I'm glad I could help you, boss.
Nah, man, for real, bro. It's all you, man. You definitely need a promo sometime ASAP. But low-key, honestly, I think this is a nice way to end our monthly meeting, bro. Now that we got the fraud Anton out of the way, man, this man, his ass is getting fired, bro. He's not allowed here ever again, man.
Yeah, he just doesn't know Pokemon like we do. We know Pokemon.
Oh God, he don't know no games, bro. He don't know games. Low-key, I was thinking that we can, let's start working on Gen 10, get these games on the road, and let's drop a trailer by January 2024, man.
That's a genius idea. Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Of course.
Let's get these games on the road, man. Anyways, I'll catch you in next month's monthly meeting, man.
I'll catch you again.
Take care, my boy.
All right. Sheet of paper? Bro, you need to work out.
I made a mistake.
Anton was struggling writing
I grabbed it wrong, and I think I grabbed it like in the middle, and then I like.
Anton, how'd you? This man, I don't know if you saw it, but I'm gonna look back at the recording. I low-key saw it like
Anton,
I tried. I went like this, bro.